But then the critical faculty of the mind comes in, and that's the mortal realm of doubt. And you need that, because doubt keeps you centered, and doubt keeps the ego from going out and you just go, I'm fucking God.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Disco Shaman TV. Today we've got a very special guest. His name is Jehmal Pitt. His interests are metaphysics, spirituality, and he raps. How you doing, Jamal? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Anytime, my man.
Oh, what an interesting combination of things. You would have never guessed it. Rapping, metaphysics, spirituality.
Yeah.
Loser.
Well, you could see the world as a song.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
You go out into nature. There's the music, the hymns of the plants, of the birds, all the different sounds.
Yes.
There's one thing that hit me the other day was there's a massive difference between sound and noise.
Okay.
Because I heard this Lamborghini go past.
Okay.
And it was just this beautiful tone and beautiful note to it. And then this like really shit box went past. And it had like the chopped muffler. It was like blah, 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 blah. And I was like, bro, that's noise.
That is noise, yes.
That's not appealing to me.
Noise pollution's a real thing as well. It's the worst form of pollution.
What intrigues you about rapping? Like what about this art?
Well, I mean, personally, I grew up in hip-hop. I was raised in rap, so going through the pitfalls of existence and life myself, it was something that took me in, and the absence of a father figure obviously helped people.
Yeah.
People that have that tend to gravitate towards hip-hop. People find themselves there. So yeah, for the longest time, I've been into hip-hop as long as I could talk and breathe, really. I can't think of a moment of my existence where rap wasn't involved.
Who did you grow up with? Like, who were the rappers around you that influenced your...
JayZ, I mean, like the typical ones, like JayZ, Nas, Tupac, Biggie. You got the typical ones. My mom was born in the 80s, so she grew up in the 90s, obviously, and that was really big, and that was her music.
Yeah.
So I was quite lucky. I had a good taste in rap. Grew up always listening to Tupac and JayZ.
Yeah.
But it was when I first heard J. Cole, so I heard J. Cole, I think, on the warm-up ages ago, before he was hella big now, and he was my favorite, always has been.
Yeah.
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 Ever since I heard that album. And I will meet him one day. I will shake his hand. I know it's in my cards. So.
Put it out into the universe.
I don't need to. It's already on the invisible plane.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's already happened.
It's gonna go down.
Thing. In some multiverse, I am J. Cole.
Yeah.
So that's all I just got to bring that in. I just got to bring that into this existence, and I'll be good.
Yeah. So this brings us to question 1.
Yes. So there's only 4 questions.
There's only 4 questions.
That's so interesting. Okay.
Somewhere out there, in a parallel reality, is a Jamal. What does the highest form of that Jamal look like to you?
Have you seen that thing where Jet Li kills his kills his copies?
No.
That Jamal. Is it Jet Li? He travels into the multiverses and kills other Jet Lis to become the strongest Jet Li.
Bro, that's interesting as.
Yeah, that's a hella... Enter the Dragon? Is it Enter the Dragon? It's an old movie.
No, I haven't seen it.
I don't know if it is Jet Li. I think it is. But yeah, he travels into different multiverses and kills himself to become the strongest one. That's the strongest Jamal.
That's dope. Have you seen the OA?
The OA?
The OA?
No.
Oh, dude, that is a dope show.
What's that about?
It's all about like parallel realities.
Okay.
And it's about how there's this demon that's jumping through different realities, chasing these 5 people. But these 5 people have the ability to download the knowledge of the universe to jump realities.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's what this demon wants to get him.
How do you spell it?
The OA. It's on Netflix.
The OA. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that. I
Check
never
it
knew
out.
about it. Yeah, sick.
So what would you do? You'd go around killing yourself?
No, I was just doing a bit. I think that would... I don't think that would be me, but that would definitely be the strongest Jamal, like if that Jamal existed. But I don't know, I think even in the parallel universes, my personal belief is it's all one overarching consciousness. There is no real Jamal. We're all at one somewhere, source energy. And I think the highest form of that is understanding that and relinquishing ego, including in the other parallels of existence, whether they exist or not.
True. that makes it seem like that you would be able to tap into that oneness, because when you relinquish the ego, you relinquish the identity, and you're tapping into universality.
Yes.
So
identity is a crazy illusion.
it's weird. Why do you think we have it?
Because it's needed. I think identity in itself is a constructive force. It can obviously be destructive and has been destructive, but there has, you know, if you're full egolessness, you don't contribute to the game, right? That's realistically, if you're on top of a mountain meditating, eating nothing, and there's people that do that and they commit to that and that's their path, like that's fully opting out of the matrix. Even if you're living like off the grid, off your own lands, and you're still having an identity in that form, you know, you're constructing something. You wouldn't do it if you didn't form an identity, right? Why would Martin Luther King do what he did if he didn't have an identity towards his collective group of people? And then within that have and within that have a sense of something that needs to be changed. So identity is necessary, but unchecked is destructive.
Why do you think that like people out in the Himalayas are disconnected to the matrix? Do you think they could be on a completely different level of the matrix, where they have sort of accessed other realities that are presently right in front of us now, other dimensions that are available within us, within our minds, but we aren't accessing them?
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, I don't think anyone has truly opted out ever. I don't think it's possible to opt out of the matrix, right? Because you're in it and you are it in a way. Like we like to separate ourselves and find a deeper meaning, but as a child, you know, like you are the meaning. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like you just are. That's the meaning. To opt out, I just say that they're probably the highest echelons of human society that have completely relinquished identity enough, right? Because they're not around anyone. They're not constructively building anything within the game. Like within themselves, yes, but they're not pushing the economy forward. Not that I think that's necessary, but if you're talking about tangible impacts on the game of society, they're not producing art and going into art. They're not producing music or whatever. They're doing it for a completely different thing. They're opting out. They're going within and not in the external. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
They were just an excuse I pulled off the top of my head. I don't think anyone like us could ever fully relinquish identity.
I think there's a lot of people out there who are doing this work that aren't recognized, like, for example, shamans of the jungles. They have a massive input in the ecosystem by maintaining balance. And a lot of the healing work that they do is not just done for the jungle or the people of the jungle, but rather it's done for the collective. But no one ever recognizes them because these people aren't put on the media, they're not publicized.
Do you mean the collective of their tribe in the jungle, or the collective of the global consciousness?
Global consciousness.
Ah, okay.
So their healing work is being done on a quantum level. So when they're creating changes on the quantum field, it's affecting the macro quantum field, which builds all of the fundamental material substances.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you mean that by like their own religious sort of rituals with the substances, or by healing other people and taking them in?
Both.
Okay.
So it can be healing themselves, because there is no other. So if you heal someone else, it's healing yourself. And when you heal yourself, it's healing the other also. Yeah. So one of the main beliefs behind shamanism is that when you're healing, what really happens is that you move into a parallel reality equivalent to your healing. So you're not changing anything in that world. Okay. You're just jumping. Okay. Your awareness is shifting to a reality where you're already healed. So I find that very interesting, because how do I apply that in my day-to-day life? Because I'm in the matrix. Yeah, right? For sure. This is the matrix. This is as matrix as it get. We're in the city, bro. You know what I mean?
There's rubble outside the window, man.
Legit,
this
bro, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Agent Smith walks in. So does your consciousness, I'm going to bring you to question 2.
Cool.
Does your consciousness, number 1, recognize when it makes jumps into parallel realities?
Do you mean me personally?
Personally, yeah. Or do you have that belief that there is parallel realities of infinite versions of you?
Yeah, I hold that belief. I don't have much thought to put against it, because in an essence, I think it's a fun thought experiment, and thought project to think upon and to be aware of. I think the idea of it being plausible brings a sense of awareness and a sort of sense of ego death in a way that's positive. It's like, oh, well, there's, you know, being this small kind of makes me more meaningful. I get that. But I don't think about it too much. But on the same sort of trajectory, I'm really interested in shaping your reality based on the filter that you operate through. And it's one thing I've learned in my life is humans are self-affirming creatures. And my auntie said something, and this will make sense. My auntie said something that was it stuck with me. She says, Jamal, humans will find God anywhere, at anything, while they look at anything. And I thought about that for a while. And I think about it in the sense, when I mean filters, it's take the notion of living under the paradigm that the world is unfair and unjust, and you've been taught that, and maybe through nature and nurture, your predisposition to be more negative thinking, as well as growing up in a toxic, maybe not abusive, we won't go the whole way, but semi-toxic household where you've got, you know, normal amounts of trust issues and you're working through life like that, but you've adopted a filter that shaped the world in this paradigm. And not only do you see other people like this, but you also see the you miss the opportunities in front of you. And you look for affirming notions of your already established reality, because the hardest thing for a human to do is actually to shed its skin, to shed the ego of going, I understand, you know, because you don't. And one thing is, I've just changed the way I think and the way I look at things, and it completely does change your reality. And then if you hold the frame, one thing I'm also very interested in is holding the frame. And when I mean frame, it's like an image of yourself or an image of someone. Holding a frame for long enough, it is. You can hold the frame in the moment, it is, and someone can doubt it. But the game then is who's going to doubt longer or who's going to hold the frame longer. And then if you hold the frame long enough, it becomes habit. So confidence is a great thing. I've got many people in my life who used to be not so confident, and they operated through this filter. And then all of a sudden they went, you know, I'm sick of being pushed around. I'm going to pretend. I'm going to pretend to be confident. And then they acted confident. And people doubted it, people that bullied them, people that did that, but they held the frame long enough. And then in holding that frame, these people go, oh, he's held it for 2 weeks now. There must have been something that's changed. You go 2 years in, that is you.
That becomes you.
That is, like, of course, you're nothing but the summation of all your habits.
And that pretty much takes you into a completely different reality now.
For sure.
Now you're walking past an opportunity before where you had no confidence to uptake that opportunity. Now you walk past that and you're like, hey, I can do that.
Exactly.
And in that opportunity, you meet new people, you go to new places, new perspectives, a completely different reality, but same world.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's an interesting thought, right? Because it's actually an endless chasm. How much you go, well, what am I filtering? And the more you think about it, and Jordan Peterson has a really good quote on this, and he references a video about where they're throwing the basketball, right? I don't know if you've seen this video, but the test is they go, how many times do they throw this basketball? Watch the group, right? So they're throwing the basketball and you watch it and you watch it and you go, yeah, like 25 times. And you go, yeah, you're right. Did you see the monkey that walked through the middle?
There's actual monkey.
Yeah, that walks through the middle. And 80% of people, not 100%, but 80% of people will say no. And it walks through the middle.
That's crazy.
Right? So then that's how deep you actually got to take the filter perspective.
That plant.
You walked. I walked right past it.
Yeah, and it was there.
And I walked in here with the pre-established reality. You did something to the place. Like, oh, something feels better, but I just missed it. I filtered it out.
See, that's what blows me away is that, you know, only when we slow down, we can really see the infinite reality that's in front of us. And it's not just confined to physical substances, but rather non-physical reality with intelligences that inhabit this reality in which you can communicate to, and they can help you and serve you in your functions or whatever agendas that you have in a positive way.
So have you communicated with these entities?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yes. So a lot of the work and the research that I did in the Amazon jungle with indigenous
So you went to the
communities.
Amazon?
Yeah,
What?
I researched ayahuasca over there.
What?
And I did a traineeship under a shaman.
No way.
Yeah.
So you did proper ayahuasca?
Proper ayahuasca.
Oh my God, dude. No way. And you know how to make it?
I don't know how to make it. I've made it.
You've made it.
I've made it over there.
God.
Like, but I wouldn't. I don't know, man. It's a big, long process.
Is it?
To make it? Yeah, because like 8 hours of brewing, and you're gonna go out into the jungle, and you got to source the right ayahuasca. Some plants, the indigenous believe that you don't touch them because they don't want to be touched. So you got to be very specific. And then the mixing process of mixing the chacruna leaf, which is the one that contains the active component DMT in it. Okay. Mixing that in there, the concentrations, and then mixing other master plants. So the belief is this, that within the jungle kingdom, the plant kingdom, there's master plants. And these plants are evolved consciousnesses that have advanced spiritual knowledge. And within this knowledge is the knowledge of healing, the knowledge of being able to influence the environment, being able to influence reality. So how a shaman becomes a shaman is that they diet these plants. The act of a diet is you connecting your consciousness to the consciousness of the plant. And downloading its knowledge. And that's where you establish a communication. So in these diets, they're very rigorous. You got to go into isolation, cut out salt, sugar, sex, garlic, onions, chilies, just a very simple diet. You're going on plantains and fish. And oftentimes 3 months on end, you're disconnected to the whole of society. Back to what we're talking about with the people in the jungle, in the mountains, and that's where the healing knowledge comes from.
Oh, cool.
So,
and you've like had the experience where you've communicated to these things.
Yeah,
like
man.
These beings.
I've had the experience of what I believe is communicating to intelligences beyond myself. It could just be another perspective of myself.
Well, the weird thing about DMT is it's one of the only drugs where people consistently say the same thing, and it's communicating with higher intelligences. So, you know, who's to say? Who's to say?
I mean, for me, the argument is at this point, it's like, if it's helped me in my life, if it's actually given me direction, intuition, it's helped me create what I'm creating, who's anyone to say that it's not true? Right?
Ooh,
I have my own doubts, I swear. Like, sometimes the things that
For sure, and that means you're rational.
Yeah.
And you're, good at making sure you're not just acting on a limb and going crazy. You're like, was that really a fucking plan?
I'm just the man with schizophrenia in the suit. I'm just...
It sounds so dumb, but one thing I really do think about is like with the rise in mental illness, and at least diagnosed mental illness, is it a broader consensus of spiritual awakening within a society that's been pushed down for so long, and then these channels of consciousness opening? Like, is it really mental illness, or is it that?
True.
Who knows? Who knows?
You know, it could, I see your point. It kind of sounds like this society doesn't recognize this reality, this other domain of existence. And when it doesn't recognize it, people are naturally born with these gifts to be able to access it. And what's going to happen when you're talking about these things? We're talking about entities, talking about other realities. You're going to be deemed as crazy. You're going to be put on drugs or certain things that might not be beneficial for your awakening process. And that could take you in a completely different trajectory and actually make you dangerous.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And with as much as we do know about the brain, we still don't know so much. You know, I read some crazy thing. I can't remember it exactly, but it was talking about how like one synapse and like the thousands and hundreds of thousands of chemical reactions that happen within that one synapse, and then you got fucking millions of those synapses and it's all firing off at the same time. And then you go like, yeah, I know about it. And you don't know, you're placing labels on things, and people like to have comfort in accepting the now. And that's the crazy thing. People like to just be told, oh, it's not that, it's simple, it's not that complicated. But I don't know.
What has been your most wildest spiritual experience? Like, what has gotten you on the journey that you are on now?
That's a really tough question because I've had so many.
But if you were to distill it down to one, something that was the catalyst to make you pivot.
Yeah, I got one time. I don't know if it would be necessary. It's definitely spiritual, but not by your cliche means. It's not like I had a talk with God or anything like that. But So when I was about 7 years old, I was like 7 or 8. I was still young enough where I was fucking pushing cars on the ground, but I wasn't too young, you know. I remember it vaguely. I lived in Mololoo at the time. My cousin, who, like, I call her my sister because I lived with her my whole life. So my sister, she was young. I can't remember exactly how old she was, but as a kid, I always used to be very open to receiving thoughts. So one thing I knew instinctively, I guess from the moment I was self-aware of my own existence, is that energy, like I remember my uncle saying to me extremely young, you know, energy can't be created nor destroyed. Always thought about that, like as a kid, always found it like a really cool thing to think about. And then I was like, well, thought's sort of the same thing, right? Thought's energy, you put energy into thinking, and then we've had the conversation before, how that energy goes into action and then, you know, so forth. But I was always open to that. And I had smaller instances before this big moment, I'll say that so it sort of makes sense, where I would just get a vibe and a feeling. So almost like tension in a room. You know when you walk into a room and it's tense?
You feel it, yeah.
Like that's the information in the information you can't see, right? You can't see tense, but you can feel tense. And it's the same like someone standing behind you when you're on the computer. They're not touching you, but you feel something. Or someone looking at you across the room and you catch eyes, like all that stuff, that's all that sort of information. And I was watching the lottery. I was hella young and I'm just going, duh, and guess the numbers. I got 3 in a row. And then my nan was next to me and she started freaking out. And in that moment, I remember going, oh, I'm out of flow. So, and I'm a kid, man, like I'm young.
How old are you, 7?
Yeah, like 6 or 7. So this was like a few months before what I'm gonna get into, but I always had these moments where I would guess things happening, like just before they would happen, just predicting the future. I don't think that's necessarily possible, but you can see fragments just before. And I've had this my whole life, to the point where I can confidently explain this to anyone in any circumstance, and regardless if they believe me or not, like I'm completely okay with that. Yeah. It's something I've thought about for a very long time. But yeah, so I'm like, just knowing the numbers, I'm guessing them like 16, 32, 7, and it's just going, yeah, 16, 32, and I'm a kid, I'm loving it. I'm in that flow, just pure, like not caring that I'm getting the lotto right, just going at it. And then I saw my nan freak out. I get scared because she's like, what, how are you doing this? I go out of flow. That's the first thought. I remember that thought, like out of flow, guess the next number wrong. I learnt the lesson. You have to be in the moment and you can't do it for a reward. I learnt that at a very young age and learnt how to sort of understand what thoughts are yours and what aren't. So fast forward to another time. I'm just adding these times so you understand like how I got to the point that I'll get to.
Perspective, It's allowing me to see the whole picture.
For sure. I remember one time, around the same time, I'm in the car, my mum's driving home, a car pulls up next to us at a red light. I turn, tinted windows, I went, we know that person. Leah goes to my mom, like, how many times does that happen at a red light? You know, this is at night time.
Does this happen still?
All the time. All the time.
So you're still in it. You're still connected to it.
For sure.
It's a gift.
Yeah. I actually at the lounge, I do it all the time. Like where they'll bring audience members up, and I remember one time in Comedians vs Rappers, it was so funny. They asked him for his job, and then they went to go ask the woman, and I knew she was gonna say, I already do my favorite job. Like that was literally what popped into my head. And then she goes, I already do my favorite job. And it's just so funny. I just sit there and I go, oh, I should write these things down. And
I've noticed sometimes even with the music selection.
Who
was that John Cena song? I was just sitting in the back laughing my whole life.
Oh, so good, man.
Yeah. So you still got access to this?
Oh, for sure.
How? Okay, I'll come back to that, but
And then so now you sort of get the gist. And then so I'm playing with my toys. Back to the original story, and we got a new coffee table. Coffee table was square, just in the middle of the floor. And I'm sitting there playing with it, and I saw the vacuum cleaner was out. And I looked at the vacuum cleaner, and the only way I can describe it is when this happens, you know when you're thinking like orange, something that's orange, something that relates to something that's orange, like you can see where your thought pattern got to. There are times where like cut in and it sort of goes off, but it has some contextual relevance, whether like I was feeling happy and then another happy emotion happens, you know? You sort of have a knowledge of how your thought process gets somewhere. So that's how I can tell my own thoughts. This was completely sideways. That's the only way that I can describe it. It wasn't coming in from here. It was like, whoo. And I remember going, my sister's going to run down the hallway, trip over the vacuum cleaner and crack her head open on that corner of the table. And
You said it out loud?
I heard it and then I said it in my head.
You manifested it.
Well, this is the thing. You go like, do you manifest it? Is it received? But the thing was that exactly happened. And she ran down the hallway, tripped over the vacuum cleaner, cracked her head on the exact side of the table. And I was so scared as a kid because I thought that I manifested it.
You created
I
it.
was just crying and I couldn't see her.
Imagine the guilt for that.
Yeah, I had so much guilt. Like, I think I'm a little bit even traumatized from it because the only things that I can recount are playing with my toys, seeing the vacuum cleaner, looking explicitly at the corner, and then just like hearing that, and then me in a room on the floor like crying.
Yeah.
So.
I've come to realize, man, there's a lot of kids, especially in my practice with coaching, there's a lot of kids out there who are gifted. And if they don't have any context for the experiences that are unfolding in their life, they can shut these domains of their mind off when they do happen.
Yeah.
When they do happen, like these events like yourself, like that would have traumatized you. Like, and then you might have blamed yourself, and through guilt, you would have shut that intuitive factor down. You're like, nah, I don't want to access it anymore. You know?
Intuition.
Potentially, like that could. I think that's a gift. I think it's a.
I think it's available to everyone.
How do you train it? How would you train it? Like, how would you if this? Let's get the scope of this first of all. This is now multi-dimensional thinking, because you're not confining yourself to 3D reality, rather a reality which is beyond time and form.
Yeah.
Either that's where you're getting the information coming from, or you're tapping into it. Something's going on, right?
For sure.
And to have that skill in the world that we live in now, to be able to look into the future or get information in from the future or intuition about the future, I see an intense.
Well, that's why I don't bet,
benefit.
man.
Huh?
I don't bet.
You don't?
And like, I promised myself I'd never walk into a casino because I just know that it would be too good. You lose it. I think you can lose it. The universe takes that. It blocks those things away from you. And I remember one time State of Origin. I don't know if you watched State of Origin. It was ages ago. Frickin', Jonathan Thurston scored. I don't know if it was State of Origin. I was a teenager, but I know Jonathan Thurston scored a try in like the last second of the game, and it was the winning try. And I saw it 4 seconds before it happened. And if I placed any bet on something like that happening, you know, I could have been a millionaire.
Yeah.
And then I thought about that. I thought about that because I literally went, oh my God, he's going to pass it. I saw it happen. And I was like, he's going to do it. And I actually got excited before it happened. And when it was happening, I remember my mate Johnny, who I don't speak to now. If you ever see this, I hope you're well. But yeah, Johnny was like looking at like, what? And I'm just there so unmoved, like thinking like, yeah, this is actually, I'm still doing this. I'm still thinking about it and getting it. But yeah, I believe in the stuff.
I had a similar experience in the casino once. It was like I was there, and it was like put the money down on that, and you can tell the difference between the thought and intuition.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm training actually now. Sometimes I fall a prey to a thought. It comes in the form of intuition, but I'm trying to understand it more. And it was like, put it on there, they're done. And I was like, screw it, $300 down. It's all I had, and it just went double.
Fuck yes.
And then the voice was like, walk away. But then greed kicked in.
Yeah, man.
It was like, and when the greed kicked in, it masked itself as a voice of intuition. It was like, nah, bro, go put it on that. You got this.
Ego is good.
Yeah, dude. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, fuck, what if this intuition is so intelligent, it could give you these little clues of how to manifest money in very unfamiliar territories. But it's our greed that then gets in the way of us actually moving on from it. You know, like maybe all I needed in that point was $600, and I could have just walked away. But then my greed kicked in, and it was like, nah, bro, go again. And now, like you said, you get disconnected from it. Maybe the greed is disconnecting you.
For sure.
From, like, for me, that's what I feel like. Maybe the greed was disconnecting me from my intuition.
Well, do you know what sin means? Do you know where sin comes from, like the term? It's an archery term for straying from the mark. So it's a deadly sin, right? You're missing the mark. You're straying from that actual connection. Through greed, you can't get proper intuitive sense.
Yeah, because you disconnect at the moment.
You stray from it. You're not in it for the... You're in that moment when you go, put it all down. You're not thinking, I'm going to win $600. You're thinking, put it all down. And you put it all... And you're not even thinking. You're sort of analyzing the fact that you're already doing it. It's like situations like that. But yeah, that's why I believe those, and pride and all those sins, they disconnect you from it. Not that I'm Christian, but I believe that the infinite will spit back whatever you want, and you make your own rules. And that's why every single religion and culture has its own affirming principles, and they're all rooted in the same archetypical branches, but they make their own rules, and that's where they disagree. But they all get exactly what they want. I haven't met one single person that's financially, I'm sure they're out there, but that are proper financially independent, that don't have some form of spiritual connection.
You haven't met someone who's properly financially independent and have spiritual connection, the two?
Well, I haven't met someone that is financially independent, like good, and doesn't have a spiritual connection. All these people, whether, I don't know what it is that they believe in, and it can change. And it could just be they believe in themselves so much that it happens, and they believe in the universe. But there is always an outer or a ritualistic element, you know, like a lucky something or like a lucky number. Like Johnny, for a great example, he loves the number 8.
Johnny who?
Johnny from the Lounge.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why it's 413 Murray Street. He loves the number 8 because 8 symbolizes infinity. And a lot of cultures believe that. And that's all like, that's just a symbol really. But you place that rule on it, that law. And the infinite will spit back exactly what you want. And exactly what you expect. Because it's infinite. You're trying to put restraints through an ideological lens on infinite. That's crazy to me.
That means you are this infinite too.
Yeah.
You're connected to it.
For sure, which means you get everything that you think is right.
What's stopping us from getting?
Nothing. You.
We're in our own way.
Yeah, for sure. I remember like complete confidence and complete love will get you anything.
I agree.
If you play the game willing to get 20% and the other person getting 80, even though that's shit, if you play the game like that and live loving and humble, you'll get everything you want. Like really, if you go into business with someone and like most people go 50-50, that seems fair, right? What if you completely put it in their favor? Not to get over them, just so they work with, why wouldn't they work with you? And you're good. And you're good.
But what if they're not at the same level you are at? Like, because you're willing to actually being able to do that puts you in a completely different state of consciousness where you're in a state of service now, rather than a state of survival.
It's all a paradigm shift, right?
Do you think that will be reflected back to you by this person? Because
I believe everything given comes back. Everything what goes around comes back around. If I get 20% now, I'm still giving 80. You know what I mean? And I will get that. There's no way you could be like, I mean proper, like good business relationships. I'm not talking about someone that's going to abuse you or take advantage of you or trick you. I'm talking like a proper, good, like this works, you get along, you built something good, you know, whether it's a service, it's a cafe, whether it's just some investor and it's just getting a better fucking return. As long as it works and both parties are happy, if you're actually humble enough to have less, you will get more. That's how Woolworths did it, man. He made nothing.
Less is more.
Just less. He just made like 2 cents and he just fucking kept doing it. 2 cents and kept doing it, and he's unstoppable now. There's no way you'll ever take that man down. There's no way. He's too in it now, you know?
Yeah.
But he did it diabolically, because the rule still works if you're fucking evil.
Well, he fucking changed the lives of millions.
Well, he did, yeah. So you're not completely diabolical. You fed people, fucking whatever.
Let the man have it.
Yeah, you know, but yeah, it's true. It's funny. It's funny.
That's a very good perspective. That brings us to question number 4.
Sorry if I'm rambling as well.
This is how we go, bro.
Fuck
the
yeah.
questions allow us to flow into infinity.
Fuck yeah.
The only problem is my camera's time limit is 30 minutes. So
Oh no.
we don't have infinity.
We'll get the switcher soon. I'll show you which one.
All right. So, question number 4. If you were God, what would you be doing?
This, because we are God.
So you'd be doing exactly what you're doing now. I put it there.
For sure, man. I'll be on this couch in this knockoff, that 70s show, and I'll be like, he's real. I'm here. I'm doing it. I saw the future. No, honestly, I do think we are. We are, by definition, gods. We can create life, take life, free think, create, manifest, whether you want to look at it through a spiritual domain or a completely scientific domain. We're bringing a consciousness into the world. We don't know how we're doing it. We don't know how it works. But I've created a kid. I've made life, you know? I've seen it. And I've seen him be in the image of me. Exactly like the Bible, you know? And I've seen like the...
So that means you can create planets, universes, destroy planets and universes at some fundamental level. You can create galaxies. How do you access that? You know what I mean? Like, doesn't that sound...
Have you ever lucid dreamed?
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
So you lucid dream. Could this just be a dream?
For sure.
Could we just be holding our bearings into one limited perspective of what reality is?
It's funny because like, what if you're just like a traveling consciousness that is just like every time you wake up, you're just micro Planck lengths sidewards in a parallel universe, you know?
Yeah. What if you're just talking to yourself right now?
Probably am, man. I
am you.
Yeah, you know? And the thing is, you do attract what you think, and it becomes a feedback loop. And that's everything you don't want and everything you do want. And that's, I don't know, whether it's your soul contract or whatever it is. We're all, who are we, what are we? It's just all one. I really do think we are God in every definition scientifically, and then on it spiritually. There's no disconnection from the infinite. But it's just like not yours to understand in this 3D world. I see a lot of my friends go down, and I get why, go down the rabbit hole of trying to say like, I know the answers, I know the meaning. And my personal belief, and I had a rant about this, is like you're a heat-based life form, right? To your very core, you only know start and finish. You can't know anything else in this 3D plane. You can figure things out when you dream, and that's why they're wonky, and like you're in some state of being that's past the 3D. Like dreams have a sense of a fourth, even music has like a fourth dimensional quality to it, in the sense that it can create emotions and stir like hormones to release, all through just air moving near your ears and on your skin. But it's not for yours to get.
Isn't that limiting yourself to 3D then? Your consciousness to 3D?
Well, I believe the consciousness is beyond that.
So then that means that you can experience beyond your physical.
Yeah, but is it logical?
Why does it need to be logical?
Exactly. This is what I mean by the third dimension.
Like what the fuck's logic? Like we're on a floating ball in the middle of infinity.
That's true.
You know what I
That's
mean?
a good
And
point.
like,
yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
It's
yeah.
like what logic?
What's logical about that?
What's the chances of us being alive here and having this conversation on this piece of camera that, you know what I mean, some guy invented in his mind? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, it's the stats game's crazy, and this is another thing I talked about last night, is the statistics of this happening at random versus the statistics of a creator, whatever that is like the same. You know, you can't say this one's more likely the more you think about it. Like, where did the matter come from? No one wants to tell me this. I've been asking my science teachers from day dot. It's like, okay, I get it. It came in and it came out. Where did it come from? And they're like, it's already there. And I'm like, what do you mean, man? This is the whole point. This is the whole point of this conversation, is to figure out how it got there. But like I said, it's start and finish. We just don't, it's not for us. We only understand start and finish.
Could that be a valuable journey to embark on, to understand what was before that? Because potentially that could enhance your perspective and context on life we live now.
For
how
sure.
to organize society, how we... Because the way I look at it, I was like, even myself, like, no one really knows what the fuck's going on. We've made this false sense of reality in this matrix, like, okay, because we can build cities and buildings and this and that, we are the pinnacle of civilization. Yeah, it's beautiful, but what's actually going on? On a macro perspective? Is there something even going on? Am I overcomplicating it?
It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Because you answer a question, it's like, for every stone unturned, there's another one. Or for every stone turned, there's one unturned, you know? It just can't keep, it just goes forever. These questions go forever, and the more you know, and that's why I go, why is it logic? You know, why do we always need logic? I loved your point of like, what is logic? But I just mean that form of thinking, that the analysis, scientific method, way of conceptualizing existence. It's like this, A plus B equals C. Start and finish. Like, that's all we try to grasp infinite as. Infinite includes forever. Infinite is everything. What if it's just forever?
Yeah. I think fundamentally the human species is learning to reconnect back to the feminine. And the feminine is fundamentally connected to everything. The logical mind is more like left, right, center, strategy, straight. And that if when you're thinking from that mind, it can't comprehend the infinite because you're thinking in a logical state.
For sure.
But it has its function. It has its purpose.
Yeah.
Whereas the feminine, like when I'm, for example, tripping balls in DMT, I don't want to be flying a plane. You know what I mean? I want my logical mind to be there, to be able to turn the gas on, to be able to turn the oxygen on for all the people in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
So like there's places and times for things, and hence why it comes back to like our society has disconnected from ritual.
For sure.
But then again, man, like you can also find ritual in like dancing in a club.
Well,
you know,
we've replaced the rituals.
Okay, there's quality of rituals or difference in rituals.
But everything comes down to intention, you know? And you get what I really do believe you get. If you go into something wanting something and truly believing you'll get it, you'll come out the other side getting it, even if you're tricking yourself getting it, and then tricking yourself getting it leads to actually getting it. Does that make sense? I know that's so paradoxical, but it's true.
But the thing is, like even physically and hormonally, when you think about certain thoughts, it releases certain chemicals in your body.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have those things in front of you to be able to release those chemicals, but you are literally creating your future when you can feel those emotions coming before and ahead of time.
100%.
So that to me that's godhood. You're a fucking creator at that point because you're creating beyond space and time.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought that up. I know we're running out of time, but this is an exclusive story. I haven't told anyone this on a podcast or anything.
What was the story?
So based on like feeling and being a creator, right? So I was working at the lounge and Andrew Taylor was coming in. So he's the manager for Jim Jeffries.
Okay.
Right? And he was coming in and we were chilling with him and I knew he was coming in, right? And I wanted to test something. So at this point, the thing is,
you spike his drink? There's LSD in there? Like,
fuck. Andrew's on PCP. What was it? Where was I? Yeah, I wanted to test something. Right? So, how you know that you're truly serious about this and you're not just an ideologue is like you doubt yourself. And you were speaking about this before. Like you go through times, you're like, oh, is it? And then like you think about it and then it affirms itself again. And that's sort of the story of faith. Right? And there's always an underlying faith there, but then the critical faculty of the mind comes in, and that's the mortal realm of doubt. And you need that because doubt keeps you centered, and doubt keeps the ego from going out, and you just go, I'm fucking God on dexamphetamine. And, you know, the amount of people I've seen.
Yeah.
And So I was testing it. I was like, you know what, Jamal, like fucking building realities through feeling, predicting the future, you know, like how much of it's true? You know, like you should probably do some tests, man. So I was like, okay, I'll test this. And Andrew Taylor was coming. I was like, this is the perfect test. I was like, if this wins, I'll never doubt it again. I'm still going to doubt it because I still kind of still do, but this actually happened. And I knew everyone was going to suck up to him. He's Jim Jeffries' manager. Jim Jeffries is one of the biggest comics in the world right now. Like everyone would have been on his case. So all I did, I didn't even speak to him, man. I didn't even speak to him.
Fuck off.
But I went, I'm not being rude, not in a rude way.
It's your space. You don't have to.
Yeah, yeah. But what I did was I said, no, I'm just going to hold the frame of I'm the person that he should speak to. Right? No, that's honestly what I did. And to some people, that's so crazy because it's like a once in a lifetime. It wasn't a once in a lifetime chance, but the chance to meet a manager of a very big comic. I love comedy. You know, I would have loved, I was risking something in doing this, right? And I just went, I just got him his red wine, like just like a normal customer. I'm a polite person. I'm just polite, just being me. I'm not fucking whatever. Everyone's coming up to him, just trying to talk to him. I'm just in the corner. Like by the end of it, packing up, I'm just minding my own business. I'm not excluding myself from anything. I'm just sitting, observing, watching, laughing, enjoying other people's presence, like more than my own, instead of trying to be the center of attention. But the whole time I'm holding the frame and consciously thinking he will end up talking to me. Like if you hold it and you believe it, it is. It just is. And whether or not it happens, it was in that moment. So I held it, ended up allegedly making a joint, and I gave him a joint, just like because we were gonna have one anyway, and like, that's just polite. I had some, just gave him some, shared some with him, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. I was like, it's all right, I'm gonna go. And as I go, and they were all gonna hang out for like a few more hours, go to the clubs, he runs after me, man. He runs after me, and he goes, are you going, man? And I went, yeah, brother, I'm so sorry, I gotta go. Like, I got a kid at home. I was like, it was a pleasure meeting you, I heard a lot about you. And he goes, man, you can't go. You're the coolest guy here. Right? Right? And I just, the biggest grin on my face. And I looked up, and I looked up to the, exactly. You gotta stop those, like, the devil gets at you in your highest moments. So like, at points like that, you gotta realize it's not you, but you're tapping into a source that's higher, that is bestowing it to you because you're honestly and earnestly doing it. And when you do it honest and earnestly, it will be good because you're not fucking anyone over.
Did you go back to him?
No.
What did you guys do?
Well, I just said, look, man, like, that's really nice, but I do have a kid at home. Like, next time that you're in town, we'll catch up for a drink. And he goes, it will be done. I can't wait. So it's crazy, right? And that was just by holding a frame.
That's powerful. I think that's a beautiful note to finish on.
Yeah, that was it. So thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, anytime. Like and subscribe. And do you got any music you want to share?
Yes, I'm coming out with an album. I've got one single out after I rebranded. I'm a rapper. So my name is M-E full stop. Yeah, me. It's trademarked. It's mine. Search me up on Spotify. Don't Play With Us is my single. I have an album coming out soon. You'll see a lot of marketing for it. Thank you for your time.
Link will be in the bio. So stay in tune, guys. Thank you very much. And Jamal.
Thank you so much for having me, brother.
Anytime. Thank you.